Let's go. We're going to go up to Mike Seidel right now in Port Lavaca. Again, as I've been telling you about, on the left goalpost, Mike's on the right side. That's where, of course, the hurricane is right in the middle of all this. Mike's winds are on. He's dealing with a lot more problems with the water. Mike, what have you seen in terms of water rise? I know it's nightfall now, but can you tell the water is still coming up where you are?
Yes, it's still coming up. It is hard to see, but the parking lot continues to fill up here. We're going to go around back eventually and see how the water's risen on the back side of the hotel. That's the side closest to Port Lavaca or the Lavaca Bay. And I emphasize we're 25 miles or so as the crow flies from the Gulf and from Port O'Connor, another town that's going to get raked pretty good. Not that it already hasn't. We're also talking out the Port Aransas area, all of Aransas County, San Patricio County. Those are the two counties north of Corpus Christi, which is Nueces County, and then inland. Reynolds Wolf will be on the Weather Channel all night tonight from Victoria, Texas, and that's 30 miles from where we are. And we're 20 miles from the 25 miles in from the barrier island. So we're talking 55 miles plus or minus in Victoria. Reynolds is going to be on all night. He actually may not only take the eye wall, maybe the eye of Hurricane Harvey. And this thing is slowing down. So the story is going to be how long does this water stay up as we go through tonight and tomorrow, because as you know, we've been talking about it for a couple of days. This is going to slow down, and it's not going to just wind down. It's going to take days, and it may actually come back over the Gulf and re-intensify and come back at us the middle of next week. We hope the models are wrong, but we have to prepare for the worst. Even if that doesn't happen, we're still going to have catastrophic amounts of rainfall. There goes a pretty good gust. That'll blow you off your feet. And with that rainfall coming into the river basins like the Nueces River, that's all going to have to run downstream at some point back here into the Gulf of Mexico. So a whole litany of problems inland once we get the winds to go away. And I've mentioned this before, we're going to have widespread power outages. Our power is still on here, thank goodness. We'll see how that lasts. Hopefully nobody loses power where you are. We're keeping our fingers crossed. But, you know, the power crews are in position, and they can't get up in the bucket trucks and get things back on if they have to go up. Not until the winds die down, and these winds are just not going to go away like in a typical hurricane or tropical storm that comes up the coast, comes in and goes away, either goes in and dissipates due to friction, or goes out to sea off the, say, the Outer Banks, like we saw last year with Matthew. So this is a long-term event, Jim, as you know, and we are really getting battered down here with this wind right now. These sustained winds are running in the 40s, and we've gusted upwards of 60 or so. And as you know, based on the radar, we still have a long way to go. We may actually take the far eastern edge of the eye wall of Harvey later on tonight and early on Saturday morning. Jim, we'll throw it back to you in Corpus. And hang on, buddy.
What's interesting, Mike, is it's going to be interesting to see how long that you take the tropical storm force gusts. We're on, I believe, hour 11 now of the gusts here. The difference is we're getting the wind from a different direction. You're going to get it off the water, so you actually have a better chance of having them be a little bit longer, especially with a hurricane that's coming inland, slowing down a little bit, and kind of keeping you on that right side.
And inland by several miles from the immediate Gulf Coast, he's been getting gusts near 50 miles per hour and some very heavy rain, and that's on the way up. So, Mike Seidel, what are you experiencing? Has it been getting worse where you are?
It has, Dr. Knapp, and I've been checking the ob at the nearby airport, and it's still not reporting gusts a few minutes ago more than about 50 miles an hour. I know we've had gusts higher than that. It's been unrelenting now for the past hour, not only the wind but the rain, and you can see the surge and the water rise through the parking lot here at the Holiday Inn Express. Looking out on Texas Route 35, things are fine. It's certainly the water hasn't come up high enough yet, and it's even higher than where we're standing in the hotel parking lot. So far so good on 35. But again, we're going to have onshore flow for hours, and we haven't gotten the worst of the wind and the water rise. The big question is, how long does the water stay up tomorrow and tomorrow night? This is not a typical hurricane where it comes in and goes by and the sun comes out and the wind goes offshore. Now, with that said, the good news to note tonight in Corpus Christi is the wind is offshore where Jim Cantori is, so that certainly helps out on the water rise. They won't have the water rise certainly to the left of where the center comes onshore, but you can feel the wind. Can you hear it at home? roaring through here. I am not, by the way, I am not between two buildings. This is the real deal. This is not fake wind. This is real. We're not getting the channeling effect between buildings, the canyon effect like you see in big cities like New York on a windy day. This is the wind coming right off Lavaca Bay. The whole front part of the hotel, or I should say the back of the hotel on the bay, that whole area is underwater. We're going to go back there at some point and see how much the water's come up, but that was all dry earlier, and there's about a 6 to 8 foot seawall, and that is already underwater. So it gives you an idea of how high the water's come up so far with the approach of Hurricane Harvey. This whole town has pretty much evacuated to higher ground. The official elevation here in Port Lavaca is 16 feet, and as I've been noting for a couple of days, Dr. Knapp mentioned it, we're about 25 miles directly inland from the Gulf. So we're not on the Gulf, we're not on a barrier island, thank goodness. We knew better than that. We got to be safety first, and we're very safe here in this hotel. It's well constructed. It was built 6 years ago, and we're on higher ground. But we knew better than to be out in Aransas, on Aransas County's beaches. Aransas past that area, even Rockport, which is just inland from the actual Gulf Coast. But that wind is just roaring through here right now. Wow. And the rain, too, adding up over 4 inches of rain so far from Hurricane Harvey. And remember, these totals are going to add up to inland. Even though you're not going to get some of this wind, like in San Antonio and Austin, you won't have this kind of wind. Some of these areas will pick up double-digit rainfall totals even well away from the center. About the only big city in Texas that's not going to be hit directly by Harvey is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Not to say you won't get some rain, but that's the only city really out of the zone at this point. Dr. Knapp, a long night ahead of us. The roar of the wind continues to pick up, and I'm just really want to see how long this water stays up tomorrow, how long we have this onshore wind, and how strong the winds are, because National Hurricane Center has this as a tropical storm, I believe, now through most of the weekend. Dr. Knapp?
Yeah, so let's talk about how things are going to evolve where you are, Mike. And this is a really good example location, Port Lavaca, to highlight a number of things. First of all, he's, again, 25 miles from the immediate beach on the Gulf of Mexico, but he's already getting sustained winds of tropical storm force, gusts up near 50, and he's going to continue to be on the stronger side of the hurricane as it comes ashore. Now, the center circulation is just offshore. It hasn't come ashore yet, so we don't have the landfall of the center of the hurricane just yet. But
okay, Dr. Knapp. It's hard to hear you. I'm sorry if I missed your toss out here to the field, so my apologies. But the wind now sustained above tropical storm force. That's 39 miles an hour, and we are gusting easily to 60 miles an hour or more. It really takes it out of you, to keep your ground. It's a good quadricep workout to keep your ground here. The water continuing to come into the parking lot, but we can still see the curb behind me. So, the water isn't rising dramatically. It's not rising very quickly. It's just a slow, steady process with this northeast wind across Matagorda Bay and Lavaca Bay. Boy, this will keep you up all night. And the roar of the wind, I don't know, I want to come over here and see if we can hear how the wind roars around this corner. I don't know if you get right here. I don't know if you can hear that. I can hear it myself. I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone, but just that roar that's going to go all night long. It makes it tough to sleep when it's blowing like that. You've probably been through that before, maybe with a nor'easter or with a thunderstorm, but it's roaring through here tonight. Power is still on. We're keeping our fingers crossed for everybody here in Texas that the power can stay on as long as possible, and maybe not go out at all. We're hoping for the best here, although we know that this is going to be catastrophic as far as rainfall totals. And on the coast, Aransas County beaches, there's going to be a lot of structural damage. Those wind gusts now up to 125 miles an hour in Port Aransas. Dr. Knapp, this is just going to be an all-night thing, not a 3 or 4 hour event. And that's the big concern here as far as this water rise and these winds here on the what they call the dirty side, or the east side, the right front quadrant of Hurricane Harvey. A Category 4, first one we've seen landfall in Texas since Carla in 1961.
Yeah, and Mike, it's only a matter of time here. Very short amount of time left before the center of the hurricane will be declared by the National Hurricane Center as having come on shore. Don't think.
Harvey's going up in between us right now, right over Rockport. Let's go to Mike Seidel to that right goalpost, Mike, as you are again taking much more wind now on that right side.
Yeah,
there's no friction.
Jim,
you're getting it right off the water.
We are, Jim, and thank God it's not going to be kicked wide right over here into Calhoun County. But even without taking the strongest winds like in Port Aransas, we're getting battered pretty good right now. We've got a long night ahead of us. These winds here are gusting upwards of 60 miles an hour. You think you're getting a break, and then it just comes right back at you and slaps you in the back. And the rainfall, too, is unrelenting. That's the other angle of the story, is this rainfall now over 4 inches. Take a look at the water in the parking lot, still coming up. And now I notice that it's all the way around the bend here. It's hard to see. We have no way to really light up the distance, but you maybe can see the water on the other side of the ramp here. It's hard to see, but 35, Texas 35, if you know this area, it's open. The water is not encroached on 35, and it certainly isn't over the Lavaca Bay Bridge, which takes you over to Port Comfort. But we've seen no vehicles in several hours, which is good. They don't typically close the bridge down officially with 45-mile-an-hour winds like they do, a lot of DOTs do in other states, like the Sunshine Skyway Bridge on the west coast of Florida. But there's nothing to stop you going over tonight. But it's, again, a very dangerous night because that wind is coming right across Matagorda Bay and right over the bridge, and the bridge sits up even higher than where we're standing here. Again, feeling very safe here at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites because this hotel is pretty much hurricane proof. They built it 6 years ago to withstand something like this, and it's doing a fine job. There's water surrounding the lower level, but there's nothing on the lower level except some storage rooms. Their first floor is up about 16 to 18 feet, and the building is concrete, steel, and hardy plank on the lower level. Boy, this wind is really, it just keeps slowly edging up, and the rain just comes in. But you'll notice on the radar that we're still a good ways from the eastern eye wall, and it's going to get worse before it gets better as we go on through the overnight hours. Even the wind impacting Mark Weiss, a photographer who is doing a bang-up job back here around the side of the building. Whoa, well, that one got me in the back. I was going to say, why don't we take a walk down and give you a little tour? We've got some time here, and just show you what we're dealing with as we get around the corner here. And notice the water's come up. We've got about 6 to 8 inches of water here. Now this is why
let him go.
They built the hotel up high. None of this water is getting inside of the hotel. We'll take it back here. Now the wind is much calmer. We'll just keep walking back here. Pardon my back to the camera. Ooh. But you get back here, it's not raining, and there's no wind. It's all blowing over the top of this, what is this, about a 6 to 7 story hotel. But let me show you how much the water's risen as we've been out there for about another hour. We're going to keep going, get into the light out here to get a better picture of what we're dealing with. Okay, so Lavaca Bay is out there. That's the front yard. That ramp there for handicapped is still not underwater, but the water is coming right through here. Boy, it's nice to get out of that wind for a few minutes. And it goes right straight through here into the parking lot. That entire parking lot we'll walk out here is underwater. And again, we've got about 8 inches of water here. Now this is the south side or the east side, looking out towards the Motel 6. And there's still some areas out here that are not underwater because of the elevation change, the rolling nature of the concrete here in this lot. But you can see this light pole here, I believe. You can see how that's being whipped by the wind. but we're protected. This just gives you an idea of how we decide where we're going to cover hurricanes. We just don't come into town and say, let's stay there because we want our points. But we look at these things very closely. Elevation, how well is the hotel constructed, like this one, 6 years old, built very strong. And, you know, other things, does it have a generator, things like that. But we're feeling very confident because of the elevation here and how well the hotel's constructed that we'll be fine. And we also have plenty of non-perishable food, water, beverages to get us through the next several days if we are stuck here for some reason. So far, we don't see any damage visually around here. The Motel 6 next door is also a situation where they don't have anything that can really be ripped off except maybe the sign up there. But other than that, we haven't seen, just one little piece of flying debris went over me about half an hour ago. Let's go back to Dr. Nab, Jim Cantori, down in Corpus Christi as we continue with the worst of the weather. We'll go to Jim Cantori. Jim, nice to get out of the wind for a little bit, but we'll go back out front here in a few and see how much the water has risen over the past hour and a half here in Port Lavaca. Jim, take it away.
All right, Michael, we appreciate that. Again, good visuals as to what it's like being on the east side of the eye. Here I am on the west side, the dirty side, where